Cartel. Aquí andamos ir en Europa, no, oiga, ya aquí andamos encargados. Nomás para ver si va a estar con nosotros o no, porque está ayudando a los carteles unidos y pues le mandamos el mensaje que se acomode con nosotros o se acomode bien con ellos, porque los vergazos van bien. Aquí estamos en los bancos, para que sepa nomás. Y no me escondo, para que vea.
Today in Mexico, something massive just happened that could reshape the entire drug war landscape. The Mexican military has taken down one of the world's most wanted drug lords, the guy who's been called Mexico's most powerful cartel boss, with a $15 million US bounty on his head. And right now, the country is exploding in retaliation. On Sunday, February 22nd, 2026, Mexican security forces launched a major operation in Tapalpa, Jalisco State, targeting Nemesio Oseguera Cervantes, better known as El Mencho, the leader of the Jalisco New Generation Cartel, or CJNG. This cartel is no small player. The CJNG has become arguably the most dominant and violent drug trafficking organization in Mexico, controlling huge shipments of fentanyl, cocaine, and meth into the United States. They've pioneered brutal tactics like drone bombings and are known for extreme violence against rivals and authorities. During the raid, El Mencho was seriously wounded in clashes with soldiers. He died while being airlifted to Mexico City, along with several of his associates. The government confirmed at least 6 or 7 cartel members killed in total, with the military calling it a defensive action after being attacked. But here's where it gets chaotic. The second El Mencho's death hit, his cartel unleashed hell. Gunmen torched cars, buses, and trucks. They set up roadblocks, known as narco blockades, across Jalisco and spread to states like Michoacan, Guanajuato, Colima, Guerrero, and more, over half a dozen states in total. Highways are blocked, cities like Guadalajara turned into ghost towns overnight, schools canceled, and flights to places like Puerto Vallarta disrupted. The U.S. Embassy issued emergency shelter-in-place alerts for American citizens in affected areas, warning of ongoing violence, criminal activity, and security operations. Some reports mention U.S. intelligence support played a role in tracking him, amid pressure from the Trump administration to crack down harder on cartels. President Claudia Sheinbaum called it a major win for Mexico's security efforts, but critics point out the classic kingpin strategy problem. Taking out leaders often fractures groups and sparks even more bloodshed as successors fight for power. So right now, Mexico is in crisis mode, celebrating a huge blow against one of the biggest threats while bracing for what comes next in this power vacuum. The U.S. just changed the rules of the cartel war, and not everyone is happy about it. Instead of brute force, the Navy is using brains over brawn, mixing advanced technology, precision strikes, and naval intelligence to outsmart cartels on land and sea. What happens when America's most powerful fleet turns its eyes from global rivals to enemies right across the border? And could this bold new strategy reshape the future of modern warfare? Join us as we uncover the U.S. Navy's smartest and most controversial move yet in the Mexican cartel war. When Felipe Calderón became Mexico's president in December 2006, he wasted no time showing his plan to fight back against the drug cartels tearing the country apart. Just 10 days after taking office, he sent more than 6,000 soldiers into his home state, Michoacan. Rival cartels there had turned cities into war zones. The violence had been boiling since 2005, and Calderón's move was seen as both bold and political. Many believed he wanted to prove his strength after a tense and disputed election win. Within weeks, soldiers were everywhere. In less than 2 months, over 20,000 troops were deployed across Mexico. For a while, people cheered him on. Communities sick of gunfire, kidnappings, and corrupt police hoped the military could bring peace back to their streets. But what started as a show of power soon turned into a long, brutal war. As the years passed, the cost of this fight went far beyond money or politics. It became a national tragedy. The United States stepped in with the Merida Initiative in 2008, sending over $1.5 billion to help Mexico strengthen its security forces and upgrade equipment. Mexico itself poured more than $50 billion into defense and policing after 2007. But critics warn that much of this money disappeared into the shadows. Corruption spread through every layer of the system, Officers and politicians all got their share. The real price, though, was human life. Since 2007, close to 200,000 people have been killed, and tens of thousands more have vanished without a trace. One of the darkest moments came in September 2014, when 43 trainee teachers were kidnapped in Guerrero. They were last seen being handed over by corrupt police officers to cartel members. Investigations later pointed to the army and local politicians being involved. The case became a symbol of just how deep the rot had gone. As the government tightened its grip, reports of human rights abuses exploded. Soldiers and police, under pressure to deliver results, resorted to torture, forced confessions, and fake arrests. Amnesty International revealed that reports of torture by security forces grew by 600% between 2003 and 2013. Meanwhile, the cartels themselves were changing. Bigger groups split into smaller, more unpredictable ones, turning Mexico into a patchwork of mini-wars. Alongside drug trafficking came other crimes. In 2010, the world was horrified when Los Zetas, a cartel formed by ex-Special Forces soldiers, kidnapped and murdered 72 migrants who were trying to reach the United States. The chaos forced many civilians to flee their homes. Entire towns emptied as people ran from the violence. Others decided to fight back. In several states, especially Guerrero, Oaxaca, and Michoacán, villagers formed self-defense militias. They wore makeshift uniforms, carried rifles, and took justice into their own hands. Some of these groups genuinely wanted to protect their families, but others were infiltrated by the same criminals they were fighting, blurring the line between protector and predator. Nearly 2 decades later, Mexico's war on drugs shows no sign of ending. Soldiers still patrol streets once filled with families, and the line between the army and the cartels is thinner than ever. For military watchers, the conflict has become a case study in how a nation can lose control when the battlefield is its own backyard. Calderon's war began as a mission to restore order, but as Mexico learned, once the guns come out, peace becomes the hardest enemy to conquer. Still, even in the chaos, there were moments of progress that gave hope that the fight wasn't in vain. Better teamwork between the United States and Mexican intelligence has led to many major captures and drug seizures over the years. During President Felipe Calderon's time in office, officials claimed that 25 of the 37 top drug lords on his most wanted list were either arrested, killed, or handed over to the United States. Soldiers also seized more than 100,000 tons of cocaine and burned down nearly 180,000 hectares of marijuana and poppy fields. These numbers sounded impressive, but not all of them were ever confirmed. When Enrique Peña Nieto took office in December 2012, he continued the same aggressive tactics. According to official reports, 101 of his 122 most wanted drug bosses were either dead or behind bars. Again, not all the claims checked out, but the government celebrated them anyway. The biggest headline came from one man, Joaquin El Chapo Guzman, the notorious head of the Sinaloa cartel. His capture made Peña Nieto look like a hero until Guzman pulled off a daring escape through a tunnel right under a maximum security prison. Months later, he was recaptured again, making both Mexico and its justice system the subject of global mockery. While Guzman fought extradition to the United States, rival cartels fought each other to take over his drug routes, causing new waves of violence in places like Colima, Baja California, and Sinaloa. Despite the arrests, Mexico's streets did not become safer. The government's focus on hunting cartel leaders, often called the kingpin strategy, broke up big groups, but unleashed smaller, more vicious ones. Every time one leader fell, 2 more rose up to claim his place. Towns that were once peaceful suddenly became battlefields as gangs clashed over control of smuggling routes. Even with a new president, Mexico's strategy barely changed. Peña Nieto promised to shift focus away from the war on drugs and rebuild Mexico's global image, hoping to attract investors instead of attention for violence. But behind the speeches, the same military-driven tactics stayed in place. As one security expert, David Shirk, put it, Calderon was obsessed with security and Peña Nieto was obsessed with pretending he wasn't. Money for defense kept rising, and so did the death toll. In the first half of Peña Nieto's term, around 63,000 people were murdered, about half more than during Calderon's first 3 years. For every high-profile arrest, new bodies showed up on the streets. Meanwhile, the drug flow to the United States never really slowed down. By 2013, more than 24 million Americans, roughly 1 in 10 people over age 12, had used illegal drugs recently. Cocaine use had dipped slightly, but heroin, meth, and marijuana use kept climbing. Every change in U.S. law enforcement priorities or market demand created new openings for Mexico's traffickers to exploit. Even as some U.S. states began to legalize marijuana, reducing that part of the business for Mexican suppliers, the cartels simply shifted to more profitable drugs. Heroin, fentanyl, and methamphetamine production exploded, keeping the money flowing. Today, experts estimate that Mexican cartels still earn between $19 and $29 billion every year from drug sales in the United States. Now, Washington has taken a drastic step. A new order signed by President Donald Trump has given the Pentagon the green light to use military force against Latin American cartels, officially labeled as terrorist groups. Sources close to the administration confirm that this wasn't just talk. The order, first mentioned by the New York Times and later verified by Rolling Stone, represents one of the most aggressive U.S. security shifts in decades. Senior White House insiders claim the president's patience with Mexico's handling of the cartel problem has run out. In their words, unless Mexico steps up and meets Washington's demands, America is ready to act by force if necessary. Behind the scenes, intelligence agencies are treating the cartels as global terror networks. Analysts have been tracking cartel money pipelines stretching from Mexico to Asia and Europe. Satellite surveillance has mapped trafficking routes that snake through the desert into the southern United States. The Defense Intelligence Agency has also identified cartel-controlled regions that function like miniature war zones, heavily armed, guarded by private militias, and protected by corruption at every level. Military planners have been told to design operations that would cripple cartel logistics while avoiding considerable civilian casualties. That includes pinpoint raids, drone strikes, and cyber warfare to disrupt cartel communication systems. Some proposals mirror past missions against groups like ISIS or Al-Qaeda, suggesting that the U.S. is treating cartels with the same seriousness once reserved for foreign terrorists. Still, officials are aware of the risk. Any cross-border strike could ignite diplomatic backlash or even conflict with Mexico, a key trade partner and neighbor. But insiders claim Trump sees the threat as outweighing the risk. This new order could redefine America's approach to organized crime forever. For decades, cartels have operated in the shadows. Now that the Pentagon is officially in the game, that era may be ending. Whether it leads to victory or deeper chaos, one thing is certain. The battle lines are being drawn, not in the Middle East or the Pacific, but just across America's southern border. And for the first time in history, the world's strongest military is preparing to fight not a country, but the cartels next door. That shift in strategy has already sent shockwaves through the region. Tension between Mexico and the United States has reached new heights after a wave of U.S. airstrikes in the Caribbean and, more recently, the Pacific Ocean. These strikes, launched under President Donald Trump's renewed anti-drug campaign, have killed at least 37 people since early September, and Mexican President Claudia Sheinbaum has made it clear she wants no part of it. During her morning press briefing, Sheinbaum condemned the bombings, saying Mexico disagrees with such actions. She stated that there are international laws about how to deal with the illegal transport of drugs or weapons in international waters. Also, she expressed this to the United States government, both privately and publicly. Her comments placed her among a growing number of Latin American leaders who have criticized Washington's military escalation. Many fear the strikes could spill over into sovereign territories, blurring the line between drug enforcement and acts of war. But Trump quickly fired back. Speaking at a roundtable promoting his anti-drug campaign, he aimed at Mexico, saying that the cartels run Mexico. While he has great respect for President Sheinbaum, claiming that she is a tremendous and very brave woman, the cartels run Mexico, and the United States has to defend itself from that. His words showed a wider pattern of pressure. Since Trump's return to the White House in January, the relationship between Washington and Mexico City has grown increasingly strained. Trump's agenda centers on curbing illegal immigration, punishing foreign trade competitors, and cutting off drug routes, often through threats of tariffs or military action. In late January, the Trump administration shocked both Mexico and Canada by announcing 25% tariffs on their exports. The stated goal was to hold them accountable for failing to stop illegal immigration and drug trafficking. Facing massive economic damage, both nations scrambled to negotiate. Mexico managed to delay the tariffs for 30 days after Sheinbaum promised to deploy 10,000 National Guard troops along the border to crack down on drug smuggling. Trump reportedly praised her toughness, even calling her the Trump Whisperer. Despite her efforts, the tariffs went into effect that March, deepening economic pressure. A few months later, Trump threatened to raise them again, this time by 30%, accusing Mexico of not doing enough to stop fentanyl and other narcotics from entering the U.S. He wrote on social media that Mexico still has not stopped the cartels who are trying to turn all of North America into a narco playground. Sheinbaum avoided escalation, and the threat faded after a tense phone call between the two leaders. But the economic standoff wasn't the only concern. In June, the U.S. Treasury sanctioned 3 major Mexican banks, claiming they were laundering cartel money. The institutions denied it, but the sanctions crippled their ability to operate internationally. Mexico's financial system felt the blow almost immediately. Meanwhile, fears of U.S. military action have been growing. Early in Trump's second term, he announced plans to label Latin American cartels as foreign terrorist organizations. The label alone doesn't authorize military attacks, but analysts warn it could pave the way for future intervention. In May, both presidents admitted that Washington had offered to send U.S. troops into Mexico to fight the cartels directly. Sheinbaum turned the offer down without hesitation. Her refusal was applauded at home, even as U.S. forces built up along the border. Then came another alarming report. In August, media outlets revealed that Trump had signed an order secretly authorizing the use of military force against Latin American cartels, and rumors of possible strikes on Mexican soil spread quickly. Sheinbaum moved to calm public fear, insisting that while they cooperate and collaborate, there will be no invasion. She ruled out the possibility. Washington's tone only hardened. Trump told reporters in the Oval Office, while meeting NATO's Secretary General, that the United States would hit them very hard if they came in by land, that they had not yet experienced anything like it, and that his administration was now fully prepared to do so. Since September, 9 strikes have been carried out on suspected drug boats near Venezuela, Colombia, and the wider Caribbean. This week, the campaign expanded to Colombia's Pacific coast. Trump claimed the targets included small boats and even a submarine allegedly carrying narcotics. But no solid evidence has been presented, and regional leaders warn that civilians are being killed. Ecuador freed one of 2 survivors from a submarine attack, saying it found no criminal link. Colombia's president, Gustavo Petro, said a local fisherman named Alejandro Carranza was among the dead. Families in Trinidad and Tobago, near the Venezuelan coast, fear their missing relatives met the same fate. International law experts and United Nations officials have voiced alarm, arguing the U.S. strikes may amount to illegal killings. Without proof of combat or active war, such attacks violate the rules of engagement under international law. For Sheinbaum, the challenge is enormous, maintaining Mexico's partnership with the U.S. while protecting its sovereignty and citizens. As Washington expands its war from the seas toward possible land strikes, Latin America is left wondering whether the world's most powerful nation has crossed a line that diplomacy can no longer erase. Yet as Sheinbaum struggles to maintain diplomacy, new threats reveal how quickly that balance can crumble. According to the Department of Homeland Security, Mexican cartels have placed specific rewards for attacks on U.S. agents. About $2,000 to reveal an agent's identity, between $5,000 and $10,000 to kidnap immigration officers, and as much as $50,000 to kill high-ranking officials. However, Mexico's president has made it clear that her government has no solid proof of claims from the Trump administration that Mexican cartels are putting bounties on U.S. immigration officers. Speaking at a press briefing, she said Mexico only learned of the alleged threats after the U.S. Department of Homeland Security published them. The controversy began when DHS announced that Mexican cartels were teaming up with American gangs to hunt down immigration agents. DHS Secretary Kristi Noem fueled the storm, saying Trump's crackdown on drug networks had been so effective that cartels were now desperate enough to place bounties on agents' heads. But behind the noise, many people aren't buying it. Several people with inside knowledge of cartel operations, including a former Mexican trafficker and retired DEA officers, say the claims don't add up. According to them, the idea of cartels ordering hits on U.S. officials inside America is simply unrealistic. Recently, immigration agents launched tough raids across cities like Chicago, sparking anger from protesters and local leaders. Some believe the bounty claims might be an attempt to justify these aggressive operations. DHS alleged that cartels were offering $2,000 to identify immigration agents, between $5,000 and $10,000 to kidnap them, and up to $50,000 to kill high-ranking officials. Margarito Flores, a former Sinaloa cartel member turned U.S. law enforcement trainer, called those numbers ridiculous. He explained that drug cartels think like businessmen, not terrorists. Mike Vigil, who once led international operations for the DEA, agreed. From his years working in Mexico, he said that attacking U.S. officers would destroy the cartel's smuggling routes. He explained that the cartels survive by keeping business quiet, and bringing more attention would only hurt them. The source of the rumors remains uncertain. DHS claims they got the tip from an informant who said a Latin Kings gang member had issued a hit on a U.S. Border Patrol chief. However, no proof links the supposed threat to any Mexican cartel. Flores confirmed that while American gangs often buy drugs from Mexican suppliers, they operate independently. While cartels are known for brutal violence in Mexico, direct attacks on American soil are extremely rare. Nathan Jones, a security studies professor, said he doubts the story entirely. The last major attack on a U.S. agent by Mexican criminals happened in the mid-1980s when the Guadalajara cartel kidnapped and murdered DEA agent Enrique "Kiki" Camarena. The aftermath crippled the cartel and taught organized crime groups a lasting lesson. Never target U.S. officials again. For many analysts, this new wave of claims looks less like a real warning and more like political theater. Flores fears that spreading such rumors could make things worse for agents on the ground. Once officials start believing there's a bounty on their head, suddenly every phone in their face feels like a gun. The truth about these alleged bounties may never be clear, but one thing's certain: the war between truth and power is far from over. The war on drugs has entered a new phase. For the first time, Washington has authorized the Pentagon to use lethal force against Mexico's cartels. In a single strike, a USM-109 self-propelled howitzer destroyed 15 cartel vehicles, an unmistakable sign that surveillance is over and firepower has begun. This is not a drill. The question now, how far will America go? And how long can the cartels withstand the assault? Join us as we uncover the strategy behind America's first direct strikes on the cartels. The United States military has deployed 4,000 Marines and sailors to the waters surrounding the Caribbean islands of Latin America, signaling the start of direct operations against organized drug cartels. At the center of this deployment is the 22nd Marine Expeditionary Unit, embarked aboard the Iwo Jima Amphibious Ready Group, or ARG, one of the Navy's most advanced expeditionary forces, purpose-built to project power from the sea to any point on the globe. The ARG is composed of three principal amphibious vessels: the USS Iwo Jima, the USS San Antonio, and the USS New York. Each ship is engineered for combat resilience, operational flexibility, and sustained offensive capability. The USS Iwo Jima, a landing helicopter dock, functions as a floating command base for Marines and aircraft alike. It is capable of launching helicopters, MV-22 Osprey tiltrotors, and amphibious assault vehicles. Defensive systems such as the Rolling Airframe Missile System and the Phalanx Close-In Weapon System protect the ship from incoming missiles, aircraft, and surface threats, ensuring operational readiness even in contested waters. The USS San Antonio and USS New York, both amphibious transport docks, are stealth-enhanced platforms designed to transport thousands of Marines, vehicles, and essential equipment directly to shore. They support over-the-horizon amphibious operations through a combination of landing craft, helicopters, and tiltrotor aircraft. Modern command and control systems allow real-time coordination with airborne units, naval forces, and Marines on the ground. Reinforced hulls and structures provide significant blast resistance, enhancing survivability in hostile environments. Together, these vessels form a mobile, heavily defended base capable of sustained operations far from home ports. The 22nd Marine Expeditionary Unit itself brings unmatched versatility and combat capability. Consisting of approximately 2,200 Marines, the unit is trained in amphibious warfare, urban combat, reconnaissance, and special operations. It is equipped with armored vehicles, amphibious assault vehicles, artillery, and air support assets, including AH-1Z Viper attack helicopters, AV-8B Harrier jump jets, and MV-22 Ospreys. This combination of firepower and mobility enables rapid, decisive strikes against both land and coastal targets. The ARG's effectiveness also stems from its integrated network of advanced technologies. Ships, aircraft, and marine units are connected through secure, real-time command and control systems, allowing rapid intelligence sharing, precision targeting, and coordinated operations. This connectivity enables the ARG to conduct amphibious assaults, humanitarian missions, maritime security, or specialized operations with speed and accuracy. Its mobility ensures a global response capability within days, projecting both deterrent and offensive power. Additional naval assets, including a nuclear-powered attack submarine, multiple destroyers, and a guided missile cruiser, further support the expedition. Among the military vehicles reportedly being deployed is the M109 self-propelled howitzer, produced by BAE Systems and a mainstay of U.S. Army artillery units. This tracked vehicle, weighing 27.5 tons, measures 30 feet in length, 10 feet 4 inches in width, and 10 feet 8 inches in height. It accommodates a crew of 6, a commander, gunner, driver, and 3 ammunition specialists. The vehicle is powered by a Detroit diesel 8-box 71T engine paired with an Allison XTG 411-4A cross-drive transmission, enabling a top speed of 35 miles per hour and an operational range of 216 miles. Constructed with all-welded aluminum armor, the M109 offers protection against small arms fire and shell fragments. The driver sits at the front left of the hull, with the power pack located to the right and the turret at the rear. Visibility is provided through 3 M45-day periscopes, one of which can be replaced with a passive night vision periscope. The rear-mounted turret features a fully traversable design, with a commander's cupola on the right side offering 360-degree rotation and a pine tool-mounted .50 caliber machine gun. The gunner operates from the left side of the turret, while twin rear doors facilitate ammunition resupply. A manually lowered spade at the rear of the hull stabilizes the vehicle when firing top charges, ensuring precision during artillery operations. The M109 also employs a torsion bar suspension system on each side, supported by 7 dual rubber-tired road wheels. The drive sprocket is positioned at the front, with the idler at the rear, and there are no track return rollers. Its tracks are of a single-pin, center guide design, featuring replaceable rubber pads to enhance mobility over varied terrain. Equipped with night vision capabilities, the M109 does not protect against nuclear, biological, or chemical threats. However, the vehicle can be adapted for amphibious operations with a kit of 9 airbags, 4 along each hull side and 1 at the front. Once inflated, these allow the vehicle to propel itself across rivers at speeds up to 4 miles per hour using its tracks. The primary armament consists of a 155mm M126 howitzer mounted in an M127 assembly, complete with a fume extractor and a large muzzle brake. Its effective firing range extends to 10 miles, with a maximum rate of fire of 6 rounds per minute and a sustained rate of 3 rounds per minute. The recoil system is hydro-pneumatic, while the Welland-step thread breech block ensures secure operation. Hydraulic systems control gun elevation, depression, and turret traverse, with manual overrides available for emergencies. Fire control equipment includes the M118C elbow telescope for direct fire, providing 4 times magnification and a 10-degree field of view, the M117 panoramic telescope for indirect fire, and the M1A1 gunner's quadrant. Beyond the hardware, U.S. military officials are preparing to expand operational options in Latin America. Historically, the Navy had to coordinate with the Coast Guard to carry out lethal actions or arrests. Current planning includes multiple kinetic options against drug cartels, ranging from potential missile strikes launched from destroyers to closer collaboration with Mexican authorities to target criminal networks directly. Officials envision the construction of barracks and secure operational bases in Mexico, allowing American Special Operations Forces to conduct precision capture missions against high-value targets. In May, U.S. and Mexican forces conducted a rare raid on 3 major drug laboratories in Sinaloa, seizing fentanyl and chemical precursors, operations performed directly on cartel territory. Despite these measures, U.S. officials acknowledge clear limits under current rules of engagement. As a Washington Post report notes, military strikes remain audacious and potentially unlikely to receive presidential approval, signaling both the ambition and the caution guiding U.S. operations in the region. In recent months, the United States quietly deployed 2 Arleigh Burke-class destroyers to the Gulf of Mexico, a move without precedent in the region's modern naval history. These warships had only recently concluded missions in the Red Sea, where they played a role in countering Houthi attacks. The Arleigh Burke destroyer is one of the most advanced and heavily armed platforms the U.S. Navy has ever produced, combining layered defenses, long-range strike capability, and sophisticated electronic warfare systems. Each ship carries the ANSLQ-32 electronic warfare suite, designed to detect, track, and disrupt enemy radar. Variants such as the SLQ-32V3, V6, and V7 add radar jamming capabilities, giving the destroyer the ability to blind hostile sensors before an attack can be launched. Their firepower is centered on the Mark 41 vertical launching system, with 90 cells on the early versions and 96 cells on later ships. These cells carry a wide range of missiles, making the destroyer more heavily armed than many cruisers that preceded it. The standard missile family provides the primary air defense shield. The SM-2 offers both medium and long-range protection. At the same time, the SM-6 extends engagement ranges beyond the horizon and is capable of targeting both aircraft and warships. Advanced seeker technology allows these missiles to engage multiple targets at once, with minimal reliance on shipboard radar illumination. For land attack, the Arleigh Burkes rely on the Tomahawk cruise missile. The latest Block VA variant has introduced new capabilities. The Block VA, or Maritime Strike Tomahawk, extends the destroyer's ability to engage enemy warships, while the Block VB carries a new multi-effects warhead optimized for hardened or diverse land targets. With up to 96 Tomahawks loaded, a single destroyer can strike infrastructure, bases, or cartel-linked facilities far inland. The deployment of these destroyers positions them within reach of cartel-controlled laboratories and smuggling infrastructure, giving the United States the option to carry out precision strikes at sea or on land if required. Public statements, however, present the mission in different terms. Both Mexican President Andrés Manuel López Obrador and U.S. Ambassador Ronald Johnson have stressed that the operations are framed as cooperative rather than unilateral. Ambassador Johnson wrote on X, "This is not about the United States acting alone. It's about building a joint, unshakable front with Mexico to defend our citizens, dismantle the cartel's networks, and ensure that the only people who need to fear for their future are those who profit from murder, addiction, and chaos." Mexico's President Claudia Sheinbaum responded with equal caution, asserting, "The United States is not sending its military to Mexico. We cooperate, we collaborate, but there will be no invasion. We are ruling this out absolutely." Earlier, in April 2025, the White House sought permission for U.S. troops to cross the Mexican border to assist in combat operations, including the use of lethal force against cartel targets. President Sheinbaum declined the proposal, maintaining sovereignty and operational control. While discussions of drug cartels typically focus on the United States and Mexico, the latest orders reveal a broader operational focus, targeting a country rarely mentioned in cartel narratives: Venezuela. On July 25, 2025, the U.S. government officially designated the Venezuelan cocaine cartel Deo Sols as a foreign terrorist organization. This cartel is alleged to operate as an extension of the Venezuelan government, comprised of military officers and political elites. Its origins trace back to the 1990s when traffickers in Colombia began bribing Venezuelan border guards, evolving into what U.S. authorities now describe as a narco-terrorist enterprise with state-level involvement. Unlike Mexico, the official position of the United States is that Venezuelan leader Nicolas Maduro directly controls the De Sols cartel, and that his government functions as a narco-terrorist state, and this has been the U.S. stance for several years. The cartel is alleged to enjoy protection through its ties to senior Venezuelan officials. Its name, De Sols, is said to reference the Venezuelan military, translating roughly to Cartel of the Suns, with sun drawn from the insignia found on military general epaulets. In essence, the cartel operates as a covert arm of the Venezuelan state, functioning not as a traditional private military contractor, but as a private criminal enterprise embedded within government structures. Unlike Mexico, which is viewed as a partner and diplomatic ally, Venezuela is regarded as a hostile state. McDermott, co-founder of Inside Crime, explains, "The difference in Venezuela compared to Mexico and Colombia is that a significant portion of the business is managed within the state. Supporting evidence includes testimonies from defectors, alongside documented instances of Venezuelan military flights caught transporting narcotics to destinations, including Spain and the United States. These factors altered the U.S. risk calculus. Operations against Venezuela are considered legitimate actions against a hostile nation, unlike interventions in Mexico, where careful diplomacy must be maintained. The deployment of U.S. forces near Venezuelan waters is strategically significant, as these routes are major channels for illicit substances traveling from Venezuela through Mexico and the Caribbean islands before reaching the United States. The official U.S. designation of De Sols as a foreign terrorist organization underscores these concerns. According to the announcement, the cartel has provided material support to both the Aragua Tren and the Sinaloa cartel while operating directly from Venezuela. The U.S. asserts that Maduro has corrupted multiple branches of the Venezuelan government, including segments of the army, intelligence services, legislature, and judiciary, to facilitate the cartel's trafficking operations to the United States. In response, the White House announced a $50 million reward for information leading to the arrest or conviction of Nicolas Maduro for violations of U.S. narcotics law. The tensions between the United States and Venezuela are rooted in political as well as economic factors. Since 2020, Maduro is accused of consolidating power, effectively ending democratic governance during the 2024 election cycle. Venezuela also holds the world's largest proven oil reserves, surpassing even Saudi Arabia, and maintains strict state control over these resources, which the U.S. claims Maduro leverages as a political and strategic tool. From a national security perspective, Venezuela hosts Russian military advisors and maintains extensive arms programs with Russia, including granting port access to Russian warships. Russian bombers have been stationed in the country, and S-400 anti-aircraft systems operate on Venezuelan soil, marking a rare deployment of such advanced weapons in the Western Hemisphere. In addition, China has heavily invested in Venezuela's infrastructure, while Iran supplies oil tankers, military technology, and Quds Force operatives, its equivalent of a covert intelligence service. For Washington, Venezuela represents a strategic foothold where key geopolitical adversaries are permitted to operate. Consequently, what may appear as a counter-cartel mission in the Western Hemisphere carries the potential to escalate into a confrontation with other major powers. From Maduro's perspective, the U.S. presence is viewed as hostile interference, infringing upon national sovereignty. Venezuelan authorities cite a long history of American interventions in Latin America and frame the current operations as a continuation of that pattern, attributing the situation to the failures of the war on drugs. Public opinion within Venezuela remains divided, with factions both supporting and opposing Maduro. Insiders close to the White House, however, describe the mission's objective as the complete dismantling of Venezuelan cartel operations across the Western Hemisphere, signaling the extensive scope of the operation. A significant challenge for the U.S. military is its relative lack of institutional relationships in the region, compared with agencies like the FBI and DEA, which have maintained operational networks with Mexican authorities since the 1980s. To address this gap, the Pentagon recently established the Joint Service Interagency Advisory Group. This initiative integrates U.S. Special Forces operators with experts from federal agencies, such as the FBI and DEA, leveraging on-the-ground contacts and intelligence networks developed over decades. Direct action missions in Latin America have historical precedent, often serving as cautionary examples. In 2012, the DEA conducted Operation Anvil in Honduras, deploying tactical teams, effectively SUAT-like units, alongside Honduran police for a 90-day mission targeting drug traffickers. The operation, however, included 3 controversial incidents of deadly force that resulted in civilian casualties, provoking international criticism. Subsequent review by the U.S. Department of State concluded that insufficient operational planning and unclear rules of engagement were major factors in the failure. Following the operation, the DEA tactical teams were ordered to withdraw and were ultimately disbanded. The current campaign extends far beyond operations abroad. On the U.S. side of the border, the Department of Defense has designated nearly 1/3 of the southern border as national defense areas. These zones empower U.S. troops to detain individuals crossing illegally, circumventing traditional restrictions on military involvement in law enforcement. Roughly 1/3 of the U.S.-Mexico border is now under militarized control. Over 7,000 troops patrol hundreds of miles across Texas, New Mexico, and soon Arizona, supported by more than 50 Stryker armored vehicles operating in the desert borderlands. To date, over 1,400 migrants have been charged with trespassing on military-controlled land. These measures have disrupted the flow of drugs and migrants into the United States. The crackdown has cut cartel funding streams, and high-profile arrests of top cartel leaders in Mexico have sparked a violent internal conflict, forcing some cartels to merge in an effort to survive. Parallel to this militarization is Operation at Large, the largest coordinated interior enforcement effort since the 1940s. It involves more than 5,000 federal law enforcement personnel, including 3,000 ICE agents, 1,800 members of Homeland Security, and additional personnel from the Justice Department, U.S. Marshals, and Border Protection. The operation reportedly includes requests for up to 20,000 National Guard troops to support ICE activities, marking the most extensive federal deployment in the interior of the country in modern history. Admiral Halsey, who assumed command of U.S. forces in Central and South America in November 2024, recently outlined his strategy to Congress. The United States of America and the many nations and territories that comprise Latin America and the Caribbean are bound together by rich cultural tradition, family bonds, economic endeavor, and enduring commitment to democratic principles, he stated. He emphasized that the greatest threat is not solely the cartels, but also the strategic actions of Russia and China in the region. These authoritarian regimes continue their methodical incursion into the region, using varying tools towards separate end states. We can stem this tide by standing together, shoulder to shoulder with our allies and partners. Our partners want to work with the United States, but to maintain their trust and confidence, they must feel and see our presence and commitment before it's too late. Media reports indicate that the president has issued a classified directive, potentially a presidential finding for covert action or a presidential memorandum, enabling sensitive military operations. From this directive, officers develop CON plans that evolve into fully executable operational plans. Taken together, these developments reveal the emergence of a multi-front campaign: militarized buffer zones along U.S. soil, mass interior enforcement raids supported by unprecedented numbers of federal agents, military presence in urban centers such as Los Angeles, expanded intelligence collection abroad, and now directives for overt kinetic operations. The United States is conducting a campaign across the Western Hemisphere unlike anything seen in recent memory, integrating both domestic and international efforts with the military and intelligence community at the forefront. Thanks for watching. Before you go, click the link on your screen to check out another video. See you there.